Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a very interesting copyright infringement case. This is one of the most important copyright infringement case like in the art world in China, and many artists told me that it was considered a reset. This year is the year zero of Chinese contemporary art because of this incident. And this incident is the copyright infringement dispute between a Chinese artist, Ye Yongqing, and a Belgian artist, Christian Sylvain. And you can see this is the works of Christian Sylvain. And this work was made in the late 80s, and the work of Ye Yongqing was made in the mid 90s. And you can see that it's very, very much similar, and you could see it just by your own eyes that is a copy. I'm not a copyright lawyer, but I have worked in the field of IPR for several years and I have some knowledge. From my perspective, I think it qualifies as a copyright infringement. That is not the most curious part. First of all, I want to talk about who is Ye Yongqing. He is a very prominent Chinese painter, and he was born in 1958, and he became a college student enrolled in the Sichuan Fine Art Academy 2 years after the Cultural Revolution. People who were born in the late 50s, early 60s, they didn't have the opportunity to go to college, and whoever did, that they were really given the golden opportunity to be successful, because at that time the college was stopped for so many years and nobody really ever went to college. And if you could have a college degree, you were guaranteed to be successful in your career and to have a good job. I believe that he's the second year after the university opened, so he was, one of the first artists who had a degree, and he was very successful because of this kickstart of his education and also the training, also the hard work. And he invented many new methods to paint Chinese traditional paintings, and he blended the traditional Chinese way of painting art with the European modernism, and it's very innovative. And you might say that he was just a copier, he was a copycat, and he was a bad guy. He was innovative enough. I don't think without any innovation you could establish yourself as one of the prominent artists in China like Ye Yongqing did. You need to have something, you need to have the skill. You need to have the know-how, you need to have the network, the degree, the opportunity, be there at the right time, and you also need to have this extra something, and I think he did. And look at this work that he did. So only this batch or this series of works that he was copying this Belgian artist Christian, only those works were considered infringements. And to me, there are several very strange surprises. That the first surprise is that he was copying this series of work since the 90s, and it's like, 30 years. Who would be copying the same artists almost pixel by pixel for 30 years? It's not normal. And especially when you are Ye Yongqing, like you are high level, you chaired many associations, you're well paid, you have the money you want, the fame you want, and you have a lot of reputation at stake. And who would copy a relatively unknown European artist consecutively for 30 years? Like, this is not logic. And for me, this could have one explanation, is that perhaps Ye Yongqing is trying to do a performance art piece. He's trying to copy unknown, relatively unknown. I'm not saying that this artist is completely unknown, but in China, if you really compare, even in Asia, you compare internationally, you compare the fame of Ye Yongqing and Christian. Yes, Ye Yongqing wins in every single way possible. So who would want to copy like that? I mean, if I'm a famous artist, maybe I'll try to copy Ron English a little bit, Kaos a little bit, Damien Hirst a little bit, and try to, make a mash up of everything and present it as a new Chinese contemporary art, which is many artists did, and why not? You learn from different masters and you learn from different established popular artists, and you try to bring yourself to the trend. Pop art, who didn't copy at least 1%, right? Or I'd rather believe that he did it on purpose, and he carried out this 30 years of copying as a way to introduce something new to the Chinese public and to observe and see what was the reaction when people actually find out what was it all about. maybe this was wishful thinking, because I would like to think people as genuinely good people, and they did it for various reasons that we might not know, right? A second reason could be that you have to see that he was born in 58. He wasn't educated like the Western artists, and he didn't know what was copyright, and he didn't know that it was an infringement. Copyright infringement is not black or white, especially in terms of visual art. You need to see the similarity. You need to see if it's inspired or it is a copycat. And it's not that obvious. If it's that obvious, we wouldn't have so many infringement and court cases. Even today, many artists didn't know what was copyright and how to protect their own brand. And many people still confuse between design, trademark, and patent, and copyright altogether. So if he made this honest mistake, he should still be punished. I'm not whitewashing him, saying that it was an honest mistake, we should forgive him. Not at all. He should still compensate, and he's wealthy enough to give a very fair share of his wealth. Copyright infringement is a serious infringement, but again, it's not about well-being of someone. Especially Yingqing had been selling in China, and the Christian didn't sell so much in China, so they practically had a different market. Again, I'm not trying to say that if you have a different market, you can copy. No, not at all. You shouldn't copy, no. But because of the fact that Yingqing was taking a different market and was having his own reputation and having his own channel of sales, it didn't ruin the life of Christian. Maybe his mood. And I think it can be settled face-to-face, man-to-man. The fact that if they settle, then it will mean that Yingqing admit that he had infringed the copyright without even a law case, and then he will say sorry with real gold and silver, so he could compensate and just... It's very strange why a very famous artist in China that is so famous, so reputed, and so prominent, so established, I don't even know what word to use, he would copy someone from another side of the world who is practically unknown internationally. And why? It's like, imagine, it's normal that Zara, as a fast fashion brand, copies Louis Vuitton. But it's not normal when Louis Vuitton copies Zara. It's like, why would Louis Vuitton want to copy Zara? Louis Vuitton has a good team, has a lot of designers, and can pay a lot. And why would Louis Vuitton copy Zara? So in this case, I could compare, maybe it's not the best comparison, but practically I think it's like a very luxury brand is copying a popular medium brand, and it doesn't make sense. I think it's opportunity for Christian as an artist who is relatively unknown compared to Yingqing, and because he was copied, and he could use this as a communication case, or use it as a imagine that if he comes back and copy Yingqing, because Yingqing had other lines of work that is very special, that is blending two cultures, and if I were Christian, I would come back to the work of Yingqing, and especially the most expensive works, and I would blend my own interpretation, and I would reverse copy him and bring my works to China and try to sell it even half the price, and I would be already an immediate millionaire. You see, try not to be a victim. Always take the disadvantage and work it and use it for your advantage. Besides fighting for his rights and to be compensated, and he should use this as an opportunity to play a bigger game in the international art world. Okay, that's my interpretation of this incident, this dispute between Yingqing and the Belgian artist, and let's see how these two persons will settle this case, and I will just follow up. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, make sure you drop me a comment below, and see you in the next video.